and it like took a turn real quick. Kylo got stuck. She wasn't breathing. She came out like purple. They took her. It took 6 nurses to get her out of me, like compressing my stomach. It was a lot. And
that's a what, a comeback story, I guess you could call it. Ultimate comeback story.
This lifelong journey and battle is with yourself. To really dive in and do what it is that you love. These are the ones that really push me to be the best person I could possibly be. Okay, goodbye. Thank you guys.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of JayTalk. I'm your host, as always, Jalen Omega, and thank you all for tuning in. As you can see, this is officially my second JayTalk collab via Zoom. I'm here with my good friend Chevelle here. I'm just gonna keep it light, just kind of talk about where she's come from, everything she's been through, and how she's persevered through it all. That's gonna be one of the biggest keys of this talk today, just about perseverance, and anything can happen when you stick to what you want and you continue to live by that. So without further ado, I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna let Chevelle introduce herself just briefly. So what's going on, Chevelle? How are you?
Hey, what's up? Like Jalen said, my name is Chevelle. I live in Orlando, Florida, and I am a guidance counselor / crisis specialist, and I'm very excited to be here.
Happy to have you. I'm so glad to be finally getting to speak with you on these topics because we've been planning it for so long and
so long.
Just on the line. I mean, it's mostly my fault, honestly. I have a very on-the-go lifestyle. I know before we got on air, we were talking just a little bit about like growing up and things we've experienced and witnessed and things like that. So if you don't mind sharing, just talking to everyone about like where you come from, basically, how you got to this point.
Yeah, for sure. So needless to say, my childhood was less than normal. It was everything but normal. I grew up in kind of a broken home. My parents were super toxic. We're never really together consistently. At the age of 7, I lost my mom to a very unfortunate event. From the age of 7 onward, my dad had to come into my life and really step up. Before, he was like on the fast life, never really in the picture for very long. He came in, stepped up, and I moved from Lake City to Jacksonville, Florida. I grew up on 103rd Street, not the best area, unfortunately. So after a little bit of being there, my dad was like, this is not the place. We moved back to Lake City. I got some amazing step siblings, an amazing stepmom. We were living life. And then things kind of took a turn for the worst. It was my second day of 3rd grade. And my dad like woke me out to go to school. My dad was an avid motorcyclist, and I just did not feel okay that day. I woke up really off. I didn't want to go to school, which was really unlike me. Long story short, we were on our way to school and a semi-truck ran a red light and hit us both. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So when that happened, I mean, obviously my mind, it fogged a lot of it out. But when we got hit, I flew off the bike and I landed in a nearby gas station. And I remember trying to get up and I couldn't. My body was paralyzed. And in my mind, I'm freaking out. Like, what is going on? I'm missing teeth. I'm limping. My shoes. Side note, I just got my first pair of Air Forces and I was so excited. Don't know where it is.
Not the G Bezos.
Right. So I was pretty bummed about that. But I was able to get up once like the adrenaline kind of cooled off. And it's crazy because the person was like standing over my dad. And I remember just screaming at him, like, why did you hit us? Like, how did you not see us? Whatever. And he just kept apologizing. And I remember scrambling, trying to grab someone's cell phone. Like, I need to call my stepmom. And when I did, I was talking so fast. She didn't understand what I was saying. And I'm like, this is serious. Like, you need to get here immediately. Long story short, they ended up life flighting my dad to Shands Hospital in Gainesville, Florida, which is about like an hour and a half away. I walked away from the accident. I had a minor concussion, was missing some teeth, but that's about it. My dad took pretty much all of the impact. And he was said like to never walk again. Fast forward a year, he walked. But as you can imagine, a lot of depression came into play. He went from being this independent man to relying on everybody to even shower. So for that period of time, it just wasn't a safe or a good environment for me. And I stayed with some siblings of mine, some close family friends, some other homes, like assisted homes. And eventually my dad was like, this isn't the move. You don't need to be in it. So I came and I lived with my aunt for several years here in Orlando, Florida. And when I was 14, my dad actually ended up passing away randomly. He was at the dermatologist getting checked up and he died. And it was super, super weird because that day I had felt it. I knew my dad was like gonna die, to the point where I was on the phone with a friend of mine and he had asked me, how's your dad? And I'm like, I think he died. And he was like, that's super morbid. Why would you say that? And it turns out he did. I got a knock on my door about 10 minutes later from a close family friend and was like, hey, can I come in? I'm like, sure, what's up? It's 9:30 at night. And she's like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, my dad died, didn't he? And she was like, yeah. And it was crazy. It was crazy. That's how I got here.
That's so heavy. And I'm at a loss for words for a second. That really caught me off guard, but
yeah. It was crazy. Like the things that I had gone through, it happened so much that it became normal. So when I moved here, I hated it. I would call, like when I moved here, I didn't even know I was moving here. My dad told me I was coming here to visit. And 1 week went by and I'm like, Dad, when am I coming home? Because I came here before he died. Mm-hmm. And he's like, next week. Next week turned into a year, to 2 years, to 3 years, and then at that point I had to adjust. Right. But it was very different because I came from a place where we didn't have food. Like there were 6 of us with my step siblings living in 2-bedroom apartments, a little trailer home. And there were times where we were just so broken and not really sure what was going to happen next. I remember my brother, Anthony, I was 8 and we were at the Food Lion across the street from the complex we lived in. And he stole groceries for us so we could eat that night. And I just remember being in such shock, like, why are we stealing food? And he's like, this is what it is, Chevelle. And that kind of hit me. And I was like, okay, this is what it is. But when I moved here, my aunt is very well off. She works for the DOD and they wanted to give me the best life possible. But to me, it was like, I'm good. Like I lived this way for so long. I'm used to this. I don't need this. I don't need your money. And I came with nothing. Basketball shorts, some high top felines. It took some time to adjust. I despised my aunt for the longest because I just felt like she was better than me. Like she was rich, and I didn't need that. But now I'm very grateful for it.
So when you say you despise her because she was rich and she was more privileged and you just felt like you were just her, not like a pet, but just someone tacking on.
Yeah, like I said, I went from sharing this 2-bedroom place with 6 other kids to having my own side of the house. I lived in the in-law suite and they decorated it. I had a pink bed, like anything a little girl can imagine, I had. And to me, it was just like, I don't want this. Like, when someone who's not as privileged, they're minding their business and someone comes in and they're like, hey, I could do this for you. Sometimes they kind of take offense, like, well, why would I need that?
Right. Yeah.
I'm good how I am. That's how it was for me. And it took a lot for me to accept what she was giving me, all the new clothes that she was giving me, because it's like, I'm good. And I got pulled away from all my siblings. So it was just me here. And I'm like, well, why couldn't you take them? They need better help, you know? So it was just a lot of confusion and a lot of emotions to process.
I bet, and being you're a teenager when you had to experience this new chapter of your life. So like, I always tell people when I was a teenager, like 12, 13, 14, those are my baddest years of my life. Nobody believed me when I told them I almost went to juvenile. I had 21 referrals and stuff like that. It's because, and then also on top of that, you went through so much trauma.
Yeah.
And people think that people seem to think that when you go through a traumatic event or something like that, they think that the process is supposed to be so like simple. And it's like A to B, okay, this happened, by the next month, you should be feeling okay again. You should be feeling human and whatnot. People don't understand how long it really takes to get through and adjust like you have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And your life, like with what you've been through, that's the stuff you only see and hear about in movies, television shows. I applaud you. I send you my love and gratitude because, man, you've come a long way, and we're gonna get into the rest of it. But wow, just I hope you guys that have stuck it through to this part of the video, because I know a lot of you say you watch, but you don't. You get something from her story, seriously, because I mean, she's living her best life now, and man, all that could have been taken away years ago like that. And
yeah,
man, I'm just sending you so much love and gratitude for just being here, seriously.
I appreciate it.
Of course.
It's a lot, but honestly, years of therapy got me here, and I'm still like not all the way healed. Like there's things that I noticed in my adult life that I'm like, damn, like I didn't fix this. This is still happening. Like the most traumatic thing could happen right now, and you're not going to see me affected by it because it's just like whatever. Like when things would happen, I have notes, like teachers' notes, and they would be like, oh, like this happened at school today. But I'm concerned because Chevelle's response was literally, it's whatever. Instead of reacting how like a normal child would or should react. And it's carried over in my life now. And it's a little alarming sometimes because I'm like waiting for this to break and for me to just have this huge like moment. I'm hoping it doesn't.
Moment. Like
yeah.
Lightning.
So I don't know. It's a lot, but therapy.
Therapy, yeah. And I know you, just like myself, are huge like therapy, mental health advocates, and how important it is. Therapy's definitely changed my life too and got me to where I'm at right now. Because life is beautiful. With all the trauma, even with where we're at right now, like you can still find beauty in the world.
It's all about your mindset.
It's all in the mindset. It's all about, and even further than that, it's all about how you talk to yourself too. Yeah. Like I kind of have let myself slip a little bit, but I don't think people really understand that words have power. Like it's called spelling for a reason.
Yeah.
Like you're literally with your words, you're putting spells over your life, your environment, your like the social people, like your social surroundings and things like that. And I don't think people always get that.
No, for sure. For sure. You have to give yourself grace. And I tell my clients every night, like they call in and they're just so hard on themselves. And I'm like, just stop. You know, let's do some breathing techniques. Remind yourself, give yourself grace, because what you do, what you say, what you read, anything that you consume, it's going to affect your life as a whole.
Yeah.
And people, they don't realize that. Like social media, it's the worst thing ever. But
I agree. I mean, yeah, it's the worst, but it also is the best. I mean, I've said it numerous times, because I do agree with you to an extent. If I wasn't working on building the platforms that I'm building, I would have deleted Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. Well, I don't use Snapchat. I feel like that's for children. But I would have deleted those sites a long time ago, because I do think that they do fit in with that negative narrative of imagery, social images, and how life's supposed to be. And people don't realize they're just highlights of people's lives.
Sure. I mean, today's like a perfect example. You had no idea that I had gone through all this, but you know, because it's like I put on display good things. So
Yeah, you and everyone else. And again, I just want to thank you for even just sharing that piece, because I know that can be tough for people going through traumatic things like that in their lives. Like, even though it may seem like it was a long time ago, it could feel like it was yesterday for you. So for you
right.
to be brave enough to just share that with me and as well as the rest of the audience, I mean, even more applause to you, Chevelle. Seriously. To some brighter things going on in your life.
Yeah.
You are a parent of an almost 1-year-old.
I am.
You have your own house. You're about to get married. Tell us about that. Tell us what's going on. How's that?
Yeah, so I have a daughter. Her name is Kylo Luna Young. Um, Little background story on her name. I really like the name Milo. Don't ask me why. I don't know, but I really liked it. And Cameron shot it down immediately. He was like, "That's a dog's name." In fact, it was a dog's name. There was a dog at this property I used to manage, and his name was Milo. But he's like, "Absolutely not." And I was like, "Okay, well, what can we do to get this like a version of it?" And he was like, "What about Kylo with a C? Because ironically, all of our initials are CLY."
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so we were like, "All right, Kylo it is." And if Kylo was a girl or a boy, it would have been Kylo Luca Young,
Mm-hmm.
but she's a girl. It's Kylo Luna Young. Um, she turns a year on Friday.
You guys are clever for that, by the way. Just had to add.
Yeah, yeah. So she turns a year old. It's been great. Parenthood is, maybe I'm just lucky, but it's not as hard as what people say it is. Like, side note, when I first got pregnant, my uncle, who like partly adopted me, was like, you have to have an abortion. This is going to ruin your life. You are never going to advance. You're never going to excel because you're going to have a child to look after. You have to excel first, then have a kid. Me, I was like, no, like I don't want to do that. I'm pro-choice. If you have to have an abortion, then that's what you have to do. But I know I didn't want that. So I was like, all right. And he's like, "If you don't have an abortion, I'm cutting you off." I said, "Deuces." I never talked to him again.
Wow. So
And
today.
to this day, I haven't talked to him. He doesn't know I own a house. He doesn't know I'm getting married, like nothing. But it was just like, yeah, it was boundaries. Like, if you can't support this, then whatever. So, anyways, parenthood, it's not that hard. She's great, awesome. I love it. It's like having your own sidekick around. Um, I am getting married October 30th. I'm very excited. We're actually going to do it at my house. Yeah.
The way you said that, I don't know. No, I'm kidding. Like,
No,
excited.
I'm excited. It's going to be a fun adventure, a new season in life. I like to joke that I'm already married. I do everything that a wife does already, but marriage is a whole separate commitment. It's a whole separate beast. And I don't know, like I'm very excited. I'm very excited to tackle it, but it's serious. Whenever I was signing up for the marriage license, they make you read these documents and let you know, like, this isn't a joke. Divorce rates are high. This is what you're signing up for. So, when you sign this, just know. And they actually make you wait 3 days before you can officially like be married. So you go there, you do like the application process and everything, and then they make you wait 3 days before they give you the certificate.
Oh, okay, okay.
So it's like a get all your thoughts out now, run if you can, kind of thing.
Right.
So it's exciting, but we just bought our house back in April, right outside of UCF. It's cool. It's fun. Home ownership is a beast within itself too, but it's fun. I have a huge backyard for my daughter, for my 2 dogs. We're gonna get married in the backyard because venues are way too expensive right now. Like 4 Rivers, we're getting them to cater and like be our bartender and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That alone is $4,000 for some food. Like, it adds up quick. So
yeah, 2 of my closest friends are getting married, and one of them was telling me how like one plate is like $200 for food.
yeah.
I haven't even talked to him about the rest of it because I'm tired of stressing him out, asking questions as the best man. But so I'm like, listen, dog, just let me know what you need and I'll help out where I can.
Yeah, definitely help him out as much as possible. It's stressful for sure.
Oh, I know. I know, and I'm on the outskirts of it. What are some of the toughest things you've had to face with Kylo being one for the past year or coming up on one? What are some of the toughest things? Because
So
on Instagram, like on social media, you guys, it looks picture perfect, simple, everything. I love to see it, by the way.
I mean, honestly, so they say during the pregnancy, like before you give birth, your emotions, your mental health, your overall health in general can affect your baby. And when I tell you my pregnancy was amazing, I never threw up. Cameron and I never had any major arguments. Like you didn't know I was pregnant until I was 7 months pregnant and my stomach popped out. Like I was still wearing heels. I was wearing blazer suits. Like I was working full time and I was living my life. I spent the weekends at the wakeboard park, like riding bikes downtown. We live downtown at the moment or at the time. And it was just perfect. So then up until like my delivery, I walked in and I'm having contractions, but I walk in and I look in front of me and this woman is screaming. Like she's going through it. And I look at Cameron, I'm like, I don't think we're supposed to be here. Like, we should probably just go home. But I live 2 miles from Winnie Palmer. So
okay,
it was nothing for me to go home. But they were like, no, let's check you out. You say you're having contractions. You don't seem like it, but I'll check.
Compared to that girl over there, huh?
Oh no. Like, so they checked me out and they're like, yeah, you're in labor. And I'm like, all right, let's get this, let's get it done. And so they admit me, and the whole time they're coming in and they're like, hey, like, are you okay? And Cameron and I are like, yeah. They're like, you guys are oddly calm. Like, you guys are first times. I'm like, yeah, this is our first kid. And they're like, well, let us know if you need anything. Like, they were just really confused by it all. And then they asked me, like, oh, do you want epidural? And I was like, yeah, like, let's just do it because worst case, like, I'm terrified. I got to go get a C-section or something and I'm not numbed up. Like, let me just be cautious. Mm-hmm. So I did that. And I'm telling you, like, everything was straight. And then I was like giving birth and it like took a turn real quick. Kylo got stuck. She wasn't breathing. She came out like purple. They took her. It took 6 nurses to get her out of me, like compressing my stomach. It was a lot. And then they were trying to get her to like make noise and breathe. Meanwhile, the doctor looks at me and she's like, hey, this is serious. You're bleeding out. I don't know why. I don't know where. This is serious if I can't find it. So Cameron's like, oh my God, like what's going on, But eventually they find it. Everything was straight. Kylo's alive. So the point of me telling you this is like, I feel like because I was so calm and I had such a good experience, that kind of followed into Kylo. Since the time she was 2 weeks old, she slept through the night. She slept in her crib. And Cameron and I were very like, we focus on like just being confident and being self-sufficient. So I never like coddled her too much. And again, that could be like the childhood trauma peeking through. I never coddled her. I was never like super attached to her. Of course, I'm attached. That's my daughter.
Right.
Like, I'm not like some of the other moms were, I guess you could say.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. And we just like let her do whatever she wants. And because we let her do what she wants, she's confident in herself. And she's not as like needy or anything like that.
I don't know if you're spiritual or anything like that, but it could be like the universe like offering you grace. Like after everything you've been through, like the universe has let up and allowed you to enjoy this pregnancy to the fullest and have a beautiful daughter, easygoing daughter, awesome husband in Cameron, an amazing house that you guys own now. And it's just, that's a what, a comeback story, I guess you could call it.
Really?
Ultimate comeback story.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm super grateful, super blessed. And some days it doesn't feel real, but it's like, I made it, you know?
Your life, it's happening.
Yeah.
We went to college together, so there's a lot of stigmas. There's a lot of talk around that part of our lives. So I know that my audience loves talking about relationships. If you notice, most of my J Talks, the relationship ones, have the most views, probably for obvious reasons. So the first thing, I know you wrote out a couple questions or just some things to talk about. So first, love. What you thought it was versus what it really is, or what we think it is versus what it really is. So I'll start with you. What was it for you?
Yeah. So in high school, I was in love with this dude, or so I thought. And I was super naive, like no hate towards him or anything like that, but like he was like the good football player, ladies man, all that. And I thought like sticking it out through the end, taking all the BS, like I thought that was love. And I thought I was doing something by being like supportive and holding it down. And then I met Cameron. And when I met Cameron, it was like light and day or night and day. Like it was crazy. And I was like, yeah, that's not love. So I actually, it sounds bad, but I'll be honest with you. I left my boyfriend at the time because I was like, this isn't it. Like I found someone that is showing me what love is supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And long story short, I thought it was holding it down, going through it all, no matter what. But now it's just like, you got to have boundaries and you got to love yourself enough to be able to love someone else also.
Yeah.
And it's commitment and it's carrying the weight on the days that they can't. But like, again, having that self-respect, love is not worth losing your self-respect and losing yourself and your morals. It's just not. So it's patient, it's kind.
It's peaceful, it's love, it's caring.
Yeah.
But I 100% agree with you. Honestly, that's similar to how it was for me. Except I was the guy. I was the football player, the actor, the guy that everybody wanted to hang out with at parties, come to all the Airbnbs and rental spots that we rented out to parties, stuff like that. And I was just always, I was really toxic in high school. Even though I wasn't a bad kid in school, I never got in trouble. When it came to my relationship, I was pretty toxic. We both were, I'm gonna be honest. And then it got to the point where after that, exactly what you said, I realized that I needed to figure out myself. I needed to find out who I was. You really cannot love someone until you figure out how to love yourself, what makes you happy. So yeah, I'm right there with you. So I think everybody goes through that. Everybody thinks their first love is the one. You hear these high school sweetheart stories, but then they end up on CNN after killing each other 35 years later. But I'm definitely on board with you. All right, so another one of the topics we didn't touch on, college. As I was talking about that stigma before, I was more than typical, but I was that kid in the nightlife. I was a bartender, manager at a bar for 4 years, in a fraternity, high school or college sweetheart, first year, all that good stuff. How was it for you in the nightlife? Because I know that's how we first met. I think I was bartending or something like that. So like, how was the nightlife scene for you? Because I know you're pretty familiar with the crowd.
Yeah. So I don't know, like I was never into going out at all. And then I met Cameron and he kind of introduced me to it all. And then Cameron became friends with some people who worked like at Guilt. Everybody knows Guilt, college night on Thursdays. Like it was just a place to be. And there was like this period of my life, I want to say like 6 months to a year. Thursday night, I'm at Guilt. Like no questions asked. Someone wants VIP. Okay, I'm there. Like Cameron, hey, let's get VIP. Let's get VIP. And just doing like the most. And it got to a point where I was like, what am I doing? Like, why are we spending all this money on VIP? Why am I getting obliterated? Like, it just got old so fast after that, like 6 months to the year time frame. But it was fun. I had some of my best nights at Guild for sure.
Ew, I was never a fan of Guilt. I went because, like you said, it was just a place to be on college nights. So I had to oblige at that time, or I thought I had to oblige.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm right there with you. That was a time, I'm be honest, it was a time that I'd never want to have again, but it was
Yeah.
fun while it lasted. 100.
Yeah, it was. I was never into like lib or pub though. Like I had went those few times for happy hour, but the smell and like the toilet paper filled toilets, it just wasn't doing it for me.
Yeah, I mean that they were college bars. So
So sick the next day too, especially after like the free beer at happy hour. And I was like, no.
happy hour that was a must too. I felt like
Yeah.
college night and then Friday happy hour, you just had to do it. You just had to be there, you know? So those were the times for sure. And while we were briefly on that topic about relationships, as far as first loves and stuff like that, I know we wanted to speak briefly on long distance relationships and trust issues. So I know I'm usually the interviewer slash show host, but I feel like you have a question or something for me, or there's something you want to point out.
Yeah. So I don't know, like I had always said, you see couples on Instagram and you're either like, dang, they got it going on. Like that's the it couple. Or you're like, wait a second, like what am I missing here? And I had done a long-term relationship or a long distance relationship for some time, and I just like, I don't know, I just know how it is. So I was always curious, as like, was everything as picture perfect as you guys had come off as, or did you experience the normal things that like a long distance relationship would do? Is you guys are both very attractive people, you guys are both in the light, and very social. So I feel like that like carries its own beast within itself.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head. It is its own beast within itself. I don't even think I have to answer this question without, like, I don't even think it needs an answer, but I don't like to curse. But so yes, it was an animal. It was not picture perfect. I'm maybe biased because of what I've been through, but I know how it goes. I don't feel like any relationships pick as perfect as social media makes it seem. It's really all a lie. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, my past, I've only dated 4 people. I don't know if that's a lot, but
It's no.
but like officially dated in a relationship. But 2 out of 4 of those relationships were long distance. So like the main one, primary one, which you always saw on social media, lived in Miami for college.
That's
And
funny.
then for a very long time after college, lived out there. And we just always wanted to try to make it work. Always wanted to try to make it work. But I knew sooner than that the other party knew that this really wasn't going anywhere in the moment, because one, we didn't really find ourselves. Haven't really grown from the past relationship. We tried to date again afterwards, like after she moved back to the city of Orlando. And I had done a lot of growth. I really, really, really focused on myself. That's how JayTalk started. That's how all of these opportunities with Six Gear, the gaming company, Switching Gears, that podcast, all that stuff. And I really started to find myself, and not to bash her, but I feel like she didn't. She didn't
And
find
that's okay. Yeah.
and that's completely okay. But no, to answer your question, it wasn't picture perfect. It's the usual stuff. I've never been a person to trust anybody really, especially on a relationship level. And I don't mean to sound, I just don't trust women. Like for many reasons than one, because I've seen it. I've been on the douchebag side of doing stuff where it's like, damn, if I can do that, I know it's gonna be happening to me. It can happen to me like that. So primarily because of that, I always had trust issues. And it's just a lot. Long distance is hard because you're trying to live your life while also trying to reassure, reaffirm, keep somebody up to date and trusted and confined in you all day. It's like you're working 3 jobs.
Yeah.
It really is.
I agree. When I had done my like long distance relationship, the other party was in Pensacola. So they were at an hour back, and they were a student athlete. So like, as you can imagine, that schedule is very busy. And it was just a lot. And like, it got to a point where like I noticed I wasn't texting them as often, like on my behalf. And I was like, is this an issue? Like, am I supposed to be talking to them all the time? Or is it okay if I'm not talking to them all the time? Like, does this mean I don't love them or I'm not interested? Like, the distance, it created a lot of like confusion and a lot of room to explore other avenues, I guess you could say.
A lot of room for error. We'll just
we'll
leave it at that. We'll let the audience decipher as they please. But yeah, man, it's hard. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, even to this day, it's gotten much better for me because my confidence level within myself and me knowing who I am, it has allowed me to be more in tune with my emotions. Like I had a girl tell me like, you're really emotional for a guy. And like the old me, I feel like would have taken offense to that. But since I was able to grow and get to learn about myself, I'm like, okay, that's fine. If that's not what you want, that's cool. But I'm happy within my own skin because if something was to go wrong tomorrow, like if I did have a girlfriend at this point, if I was to argue with you tomorrow and I just ghosted you and started treating you like crap, you'd feel some type of way. But since I've grown so much, I'm able to voice how I feel. And let you know where it's hurting and why it's hurting. I feel like that's a plus.
It is. Because girls, I mean, at least myself, women, we're very into like communicating. So I feel like if a guy is more willing to communicate and be responsive versus reactive, then it's going to help the relationship in many, many different levels and areas. So that's a good thing. Don't ever let anyone tell you ill emotions for a guy.
I appreciate that, by the way. And that just sparked a question in me because I think I've noticed this a lot, not recently because I haven't been in the field like that like recently, but I feel like women see that as intimidating nowadays.
I'm not in the field either.
You're on a different bracket from me.
But when I was, because there was a period of time where I was, and I had encountered this person who was super emotional, but like, to me, it came off weird. I was like, whoa, you're emotional. But it was only weird to me because I wasn't used to it.
Right.
And obviously it was nothing, but I had noticed like, wow, this person's super emotional. But I feel like now how things are, people can find it intimidating because it's like, you're a well-rounded person. You're not someone who's going to waste my time and play games with me. Like, it kind of forces women to be right within themselves. Like, I got a man who's put together and knows himself, so I got to be put together and know myself, kind of thing. So
I could see that 100%. And that's kind of what I was trying to get confirmation on, because that's how I felt.
Yeah.
But I just never knew. So
the right one will appreciate it, you know?
What happened?
The right one will appreciate it.
Oh, 100%. I know that now. I know that now. All right, so as we come into the closing, I just want to share more gratitude and appreciation for my good friend Chevelle. She's a walking testimony that anything is possible, that we're here for a reason. We all have purpose, and no matter what you've gone through or what you've been through, it's never too late. It has to get worse before it gets better. We always hear that saying, but it's, in my opinion, I think it's pretty true. So going from all of that to being as successful as you are at such a young age, I just want to say how proud of you I am, how much I admire you and Cam and Kyla. with everything you have gone through and accomplished. I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
You know, I say it all the time, just focus on your mindset. Focus on your mindset, take it day by day, and just live your life. Like, appreciate the things that are around you, and life will be good to you.
And appreciate the people that are in your life. Don't take them for granted on any level.
At all.
They're in your life, they're there for a reason. You guys, you can follow Chevelle and Cam, follow their life journey on Instagram. It's going to be down there in the link below. It's also going to be on this screen as well. Thank you guys for tuning in to another JayTalk Live collab with me and Chevelle. Hope to have you back. I hope to catch up with you before I move. And hope possibly see the house, hang out sometime. We'll see. Tell Cam I said hi. I love you guys. And for my audience, I love you guys. Thank you guys for sticking through this video. I hope you got something from it. If you did, be sure to give it a comment, subscribe, repost it. It would really help me out a lot. I love you guys. I'm thankful for every single one of you. And I'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Peace.